Evening.
Hello.
Hello. It's Wednesday, the 3rd of February.
Come on, you've not been inside that long.
I didn't even know it was Wednesday, to be honest. I've been inside that long, I've lost track of what day it is. But it is Wednesday. That means it's live stream night right here in our officey type room.
Is it an officey type room?
Yes.
Can you call it that?
Yes. I work in this office.
So it's your office?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so back to bikes. It's been a pretty average week.
It's been a very slow week. There's only been one major big piece of news that I think anybody cares about.
When did the Triumph come out? When did the Street Triple? Did we cover that last week? I can't remember.
We probably did.
Can't remember if we covered it.
Pretty sure we did.
A new Triumph came out, kind of like the normal sporty Triumphs, 3-cylinder engine, 180 odd horsepower, single-sided swing arm, lots of toys and tricks.
Bit lighter,
makes more power, displacement's gone up. It's kind of like the big brother to the Street Triple, and to be honest, they needed to update the speed because the Street Triple and the Speed Triple were kind of like very close in terms of pecking order. So it was good that they've done it. They've really upped the power to a naked of what you'd expect a super naked to be, and it's up there. It's going to rival the MT10. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think.
Yeah,
and the spec looks good as well.
It does, and it just goes to show that Triumph are thinking about developing their lines to being something a bit more aggressive, being a bit more something on brand with the other brands out there, because they need a different edge. They need to be the big leaders in the triples, and they still need to sell bikes.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because there's also the possibility that, new engine, will they bring back like a Sprint GT, put a fairing on, make it a Tourer, try and rival some of the other stuff. I know Triumph don't like fairings, but I mean, there's a good possibility that they could do that. It's another one in the range that arguably they could make, and that'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I'm looking forward to giving that one a go.
Definitely, it's on the bucket list for this year if we can get it outside, and it's definitely something that I want to try. I want to see if I could get at least on a Triumph.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to ride something other than the SV for once.
Yeah, well, there's the new Trident that you can get out, because that's an A2 bike. You've got an A2 licence, so there's no reason why you can't give the Trident a go.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Trident would be something lovely to get my hands on.
I think other bits of news this week. Firstly, it's Flux. I don't know if anybody knows about Flux, but our friend Martin, he runs a handmade leather company, so he makes bits and pieces out of leather, hats, key rings, key tags, glove holders, valet trays, coasters, absolutely everything. Even if he doesn't make it and you want something made out of leather, just send him a message. He'll be able to do whatever you need and customise it to however you want, put your name on it, initials, whatever. And yeah, they've been in business for a year. The shop's been going for a year, and it's good.
And Fluxco really helped. So I have bought their stuff. It's not been sent to me for free because I like their stuff. I've got a cap for the nice sunny days. I wear this now that it's winter. I'm pretty sure I've worn this to work near enough every day since I've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep all my normal day-to-day items in the valet tray. When I'm out on the bike, glove holster. I've still got the lockdown haircut, so I use wear the cap and put the cap holster on because my hair's getting too long. So it's not as if we're talking about stuff that we don't love. We love that stuff. It's useful. It's great.
And I don't know if I'm correct in saying, but I think we've still got a discount code through Martin's shop. I think it's a discount code RidewithPeaks, all one word, and that gets you 10% off. So
that'll be definitely go and check that out. Fully recommend some of Martin's stuff.
But
And
go check it out. If he doesn't do what you want, send him a message. He'll make it for you. He'll customise it. That's plugs done, I think.
yeah,
So far.
and tell him you came from us.
Yeah, tell him we sent you, because then that gets us more gold stars and brownie points as well.
And he might be a little bit nicer to you if you want, something custom made, and we've sent him for it. So yeah, he might knock off the price of your initials or something like that. We don't know, but definitely go check him out. Go see what he's doing, and if you want some, buy it because it's good. I love it.
Just saying hello to people that have turned up and bothering to come and have a look. Hello Ross, how's it going? We've not got onto the Suzuki yet. That's coming shortly. I'm imagining that'll be a big debate with everybody, because it seems to be such a Marmite bike. Some people love it, some people hate it. So that one's coming up shortly, I think.
Yeah.
By all means, let us know what you think of the new Suzuki Hayabusa. Now, I don't know if I should say this. Somebody sent me a leaked video of the presentation video, and I didn't really do much with it because I didn't want to get told off by anybody important. So I waited for somebody else to kind of take the photos, and then I posted it.
Right. Okay. So you did the sneaky.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get told off and in trouble. But yeah, I mean, I saw that video a while ago. I've known a bit about it, and obviously there's so much gossip that's going on about it. People saying, "Oh, it's going to be turbocharged, it's going to be supercharged, it's going to be a new beaking with fairings on, and all this kind of thing." From what I've heard, no, it's not. It's just kind of like a typical Suzuki update, really. I think it's going to be surprising if it's a massive update, engine-wise. I mean, I've heard that it's just going to Euro 5.
Hold on.
So, yeah.
Have we got anything else before we get into the big Suzuki debate?
Well, what is there?
I don't know, but I'm asking because the Suzuki debate is going to take a long time.
Well, let's do it now.
Right. Okay. So, new Hayabusa. What are the specs? What does it look like?
Well, it looks like a Hayabusa. It looks like the old one.
Have we got a picture?
Well, the old one looks... Have you got a picture of it?
Let's have a look. Do we have a picture?
I mean, we've got the everyone knows what the old Busa looks like. That was, I think, it was... I can't remember what power it made, but it was, absolutely stupid. And Suzuki have come out and said, I mean, that for months and years they've not really been doing anything. But this is the snipped, like a photo snipped from a video, and you can see in there that there's 3 colours. The exhaust looks massive. It looks like a Hayabusa. And that's it.
Yeah, it looks like if you took maybe one of the new Gixxers and smashed it with a Hayabusa. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, and I don't know why, but they're sticking with that real humpback, wide, truck-like style that Hayabusas have, and maybe that's what they wanted, but it just doesn't fit with their current climate.
Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, the video... Well, Suzuki came out with a teaser video last week. So, we saw the new bike, the shape of it... Well, we didn't even see the actual shape of the bike. We saw the lights, kind of like a silhouette, and then we saw the clocks. And the fact that the needle was bending around the stop at the bottom of the clocks at 180 mile an hour, and the style of the clocks, it kind of made everybody put 2 and 2 together, and it looks like everybody's come out with 4. That's right, isn't it? 2 plus 2 is 4. So, yeah. So everyone said, right, new Hayabusa's coming. We knew it. I mean, some of us knew it was coming anyway. So that was no surprise.
I think it was coming in October that there were the big rumours. And
Yeah.
it hadn't been coming out for... Like, they hadn't done anything for such a long time that it was bound to come out.
Yeah, but the thing is, everyone was making rumours, and rumours and gossip is rife within the motorcycle industry because people are always trying to predict what's going on. People are saying it's going to be supercharged, it's going to be turbocharged, and you know, some of us sit here and are very sceptical, saying, "No, it's not going to be. Suzuki won't go that hard." And the only thing that I can think, well, the old BUSA wasn't Euro 5. So that was the only reason why, really, it went out of production was because it wasn't Euro 5. They couldn't sell it. I think you can still could get the old BUSA in the States, where obviously they're not governed by
Euro 5.
Euro 5. Much like the Gixxer. You could still buy a Gixxer 750 in the States because they don't have Euro 5 rules. And I think that was getting rid of stock in the States of stuff that they couldn't no longer sell over here in Europe. But anyway, it looks like, I mean, sorry, going back, I'd heard that there was going to be a new Digi dash off the Gixxer. Yeah, they did that with the Katana that had a Gixxer dash. They did that with the 1050 V-Strom that had the GSXR dashboard. So it's all a possibility. It's, you know, it could happen. I think, sadly, what we're going to have is maybe bore out the engine, because that seems to be what everybody's doing now, is making the engine bigger to make up for the fact that Euro rules are getting tighter. Maybe, as Ross says in the chat, it might have VVT off the Gixxer.
Well, what's VVT?
Variable valve timing.
Right, okay.
So that changes the profile of the cams. So it will change at a higher RPM so that it lets gases flow more or easier, or, you know, it can change the duration that the valves are open.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes that. So effectively you have two profiles of engine, so you can have nice and smooth, and then when you're actually absolutely cane it, then it goes dead aggressive. Which would be interesting, could happen. In terms of suspension and stuff like that, I've not really looked at the video to see if it's got any super wacky suspension or anything. It's just kind of is what it is. There's another spy picture there. From the looks of that picture, just looking at it now, it looks like it's got the GSX R1000 forks off the R model, because they have the balance-free reservoir at the front. You know, you see the little blue or silver can that just, I think that just holds a bit more oil in there to keep the oil cool, along with some valves and things like that. But it looks like a BUSA.
It's very traditional to the BUSA family. Now, I never liked the original BUSA.
You understand what it did, though?
Oh, I understand what it did, because the history of the BUSA is better than the actual bike itself.
That's harsh.
No, it's not.
I've never ridden one. I'd love to. I'm quite weirdly excited by this one, and I can't wait to ride it, but I think it's there for a reason. It's either there to be doing 180 mile an hour as fast as you can down the motorway, which obviously you can't really do, or it's going to be a relatively comfortable long distance tourer that you can sit in comfort and just, you know, still be sporty-ish when you need to be.
I think it is that. I think it's the same market as the ZZR 1400.
Well, that's gone. That's going.
Right.
But it's the same kind of bike.
It's yeah, that's what I mean. It's the same kind of bike. Now, I didn't like the ZZR 1400. I thought it was butt ugly as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a sporty tourer. I mean, yeah, it's still going to be fast. Will it be as fast as a super bike?
Probably. The weight's probably too much.
Yeah, but didn't the old one do something stupid like 0 to 100 in 2.3 seconds or something? I don't know. Either way, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I just want to see one in person to look at these ducts, because you can see on the side they look dead wacky. I really want to see what's actually going on there. That side profile makes it look so much better than it does from a 3/4 or a front-on view.
Yeah.
But I agree with what I don't see what the issue is when I say that the story of the Hayabusa is better than the BUSA itself.
Yeah, it has got that like legend, but I mean, I think the awkward thing is everyone that's got a BUSA. Well, again, I suppose this could be the same with any bike. Anybody that's got a bike raves about that bike because they've got it.
Yeah.
You know, I know people that have rode BUSAs and said they are amazing. It's the best bike I've ever rode. It's phenomenal. And then you get other people that are like, I don't like it. It looks ugly. It looks bulbous. It looks like a whale. It's not, you know.
Well, I know people who love the heck out of their KTM. But
Yeah.
I know somebody else who hates KTMs because
Yeah.
it was so uncomfortable.
I hate KTMs with a passion. And it wasn't because it was uncomfortable. I hate it because it didn't work. And if you build a motorcycle, you want it to work. That's
Right.
why I didn't like the KTM.
If you build anything, you should want it to work.
Yeah. But can you... Someone said on Instagram earlier that they'd rather take that BUSA... If you were doing across the state, you'd rather take the BUSA than a Harley.
Now, I could see why... Right, it depends on what perspective you're going for, because there are roads going across America where there's nothing about, and maybe you want a bit of a play.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I could see that being enjoyable for about 200 metres before you need to change your leathers. So I don't think it would work all the time. I don't think the comfort would be there, but you could
People have said they're comfortable.
you could go fast and you
People-
could have fast bits.
You know, Mark, who we know, he's got one. He takes his lady on pillion all the time. Says it's amazing.
I mean,
But
yeah, you could see that, and I agree with what Danny said in the comments, is that the fact that tail makes it look hard to fit luggage. So yeah, maybe Suzuki have thought of that and they've got some sort of on the side
yeah.
panniers, or maybe some soft panniers.
Now that photo kind of does look like it's got a...
You're quite done there.
Trying to be a weatherman here. Cloudy.
Uh,
It does look like it's got a seat cowl fitted rather than a pillion seat, so you can get the systems that strap onto your pillion seat and give you space for a sandwich and a Twix and a Mars bar and
that's probably all you would get
and
on
that's
the BUSA.
that sort of thing. You don't really need. I mean, hard panniers would be nice. You never know. We don't know. Could be a touring edition coming out. There seems to be a touring edition of everything nowadays.
Yeah, and so they could release one with special fittings for hard panniers.
No doubt Givy or Krieger will do a top box
They'll
and
do
side
top-
panniers and
tank bags and quick release tank bags and
so you'll get all of that side. So I don't think that side's going to be an issue. I do think this is going to be a new sporty tourer, and you never know. We've got like the H2SX SE, which, like Kawasaki say, it's not a replacement for the ZZR, but everybody knows it kind of is a replacement for the ZZR because that's going out of production or gone out of production. I don't know. I mean, some of the big BMWs. Would you rather have that or a K1600? You know, the big Goldwing type thing.
K1600.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you rather have a BUSA or a Goldwing?
Goldwing. See, now, right, this is the thing, is the K1600 is a bike that I've just always just gone, yeah, I'll have it. Yeah, it looks nice. Right? And then the Goldwing, as soon as I knew that had a plug-in radio, I wanted it. Until I learned that it was too expensive.
I'm flabbergasted that you've said that now.
Because just the idea that you can get so close to a car that you have a radio built into your motorbike is the most car motorbike thing ever.
And have you seen the pillion seat on the Goldwing?
It's just a
looks
car
like
seat.
an office chair.
It's an actual
it
office
looks like
seat.
It's got an office chair because it's got like the arms
Yeah.
and everything on.
They got Honda. The engineers just got incredibly bored and said, "Right, we need to fit a pillion seat on. We haven't really got. They won't have leg space with the panniers or anything like that. I like the look of that office chair. Put that on the prototype."
I am actually willing to make a bet with you here.
Okay.
Now, if this new Hayabusa does well and sells more than one or two, will we see a beaking again next year that is a Hayabusa with no fairings? Will we see a beaking soon? And, you know, what do you reckon?
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, some people will do anything. They'll modify anything, they'll change anything, they'll take fairings off. Like, the amount of bikes that you see that are just like denakedized versions of stuff, you know, it'd be
Yeah,
they'll do
but
it.
let's be honest, Suzuki hasn't got a proper hyper naked in its range. I mean, there's the GSX S1000, which is naked, but it uses an old Gixxer engine. It's not really competing with like the...
It's not on par with the MT10 or the MT10 SP.
Yeah, and it's not really competing with the V4 Street Fighter or the Kawasaki H2 or, sorry, ZH2 or the Super Duke. So...
What's Honda bring? Hornet? CB?
CB1000.
Yeah, it's not...
But they've not really got anything.
Because I'd say that the CB1000 and the GSX 1000 are kind of just...
So
naked.
I'm just wondering, are they going to take the fairings off? There you go, everybody. There's a new bike. We've remade the Beaking. The Beaking's, you know, another legend. But here we go. Here's a new Beaking for you.
They haven't got something to challenge that hyper naked title, and that's what I think Honda and Suzuki need. To be in the game for hyper nakeds, they need that, because they haven't. The thing that gets me is you can't really take a Gixxer and trim it down to be a hyper naked. It's a bit too bulky, in my opinion.
Well, you could do. At the end of the day, you're just trying to take a fairing off.
No, you could do, but I think the way that they've done it already gives you the GSX-S. GSX. So I don't think it's...
But let's just go argument's sake on this then.
Yeah.
Kawasaki started with the H2.
Yeah.
Right? They made it a bit more tourer friendly, put panniers on, H2SX. Right?
Yeah.
They then took the fairings and the panniers and all that off, ZH2.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all the same engine and chassis, it's just been tinkered around a little bit. I think the ZH2 is still making 200 horsepower, like the H2SX.
Right.
So if Suzuki are making that Hayabusa...
That idea, this one here, and next year we're going to get a touring edition. The year after we're going to get, what was the next one? Naked.
Well, it's touring in a naked. Surely there's got to be.
They're going to be 3-4 years behind, 5 years almost behind the curve.
But I mean, everyone thinks of that with Suzuki anyway.
Well,
because, I mean, surely we've got to be due a new Gixxer 1000.
When was the last Gixxer 1000? Was that the 2017?
Ages ago. Could it have even been 2016? I can't remember.
Well, I know we took it out, so I think that was 2017.
It was years ago. So anyway, that's... I mean, people are saying that this edition of the Gixxer, the 2021 version this year...
Ross is with me, it was 2017.
Yeah, 17. So people are saying that this one's the final edition and that we will get a new one next year. How much of that we believe, I don't really know, because...
Yeah, they've sold quite well, but it's Suzuki. And again, Ross has said that we need a new SV650. And I think they need to do the same thing that they've done with the Katana and the Hayabusa. Go back to something that made the original SV look good, which was a fairing. I don't want this semi-fed cafe racer thing in like the little package or the naked version. I want a fed SV back and I want it to look good.
Yeah, Dale's joining us. Dale from Auto Bright. He says that, you know, Gixxer 1000s, the engine in them's amazing. And even the new Gixxer, the engine's fantastic, you know, 200 horsepower out the box. It's so fun. It's probably the only bike that's genuinely I've kind of gone along and been riding and been like, wow. You know, that moment when you're in fourth gear and the front end still trying to come up.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely.
and I didn't dare ride it without with any of the anything really turned down, to be honest, because it was that savage. It was that good fun. But it'll be interesting to see what Suzuki have got planned, because I hope that Suzuki winning the MotoGP this year and winning. I think they won the world. They won the riders, and I think I don't know if they came second or third in the constructors.
Might have been second after Yamaha.
People will kind of correct me on that one. But they need to start upping the game with bikes to sell on the road and capitalising on that success, because nobody really kind of. The model range is a bit bland at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and even it's as far as some of the older bikes that they had years ago sell better second hand than new bikes. People want a Gixxer 6, they want a Gixxer 750. They'll find that second hand, because I know everyone has the illogical idea of going out and jumping straight onto a litre bike, but how many people actually do? They always go onto a 6 or something like that.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate that 600cc bikes are kind of on the
Fizzling.
I think they've fizzled. A proper 600cc sports bike, yeah, okay, Aprilia are making one, but it's a twin.
So it's not.
And are sports bikes really a twin?
No, sports bikes are inline fours. Otherwise, it's a parallel twin.
You know,
or a V twin.
Would people nowadays? You know, I've never rode a TL, but would you rather have a TL 1000 over a Gixxer 1000? I'd love to know what people think. But to have a big V twin over a smaller a 4-cylinder, I don't know, but they need to do something, because the model range is just. I think the only thing that Suzuki have got in their favour at the moment is the price.
Yeah, they are.
But that's because they haven't updated it and they haven't got a lot of massive technology that some of the others have got.
And I think that, yeah, like Ducati, they've got almost new versions of everything coming out every year with more and more advances on their tech. So they are going to go for a bit more, and they are going to cost that little bit extra, but they are the latest tech.
Even like the V-Strom, when you think an Africa Twin and a GS and some of the top spec of them are, 18, 19 grand, you can get a 1050 V-Strom, and I think they're like 14 grand.
But
so
then
you're saving 4 grand.
But that all depends on if you want the V-Strom. Like, I can see some certain appeal definitely in uses for the Africa Twin. I think, it's slightly taller, a bit more clearance on things. I could definitely see that.
But, let's be honest, do you wake up in the morning, do you think anybody wakes up in the morning and goes, I want a V-Strom?
Only the people that actually want to go out and buy a V-Strom. I think people will go around and look at the other adventure bikes, realise that they can't get one brand new with all the warranty and all the bits and bobs thrown in that they wanted because it's too much, and then settle for a brand new V-Strom.
See, you've said that word there, settle. They're settling for a V-Strom.
Yeah. I wouldn't have a V-Strom. I wouldn't have a V-Strom. If I wanted an adventure bike, it's Honda or BMW.
Yeah, but the cost.
Well, that's why you go for a second-hand bike.
But would you have would you buy a second-hand GS Adventure for the same price that you can get a brand new V-Strom?
Yes.
Really?
Because I think that just the GS, in terms of reliability and build and all the little dazzle features that you get, 14 grand GS Adventure, I think would still top a brand new V-Strom.
That's an interesting thought.
Someone send me 14 grand, we'll test it out.
Yeah, send me the money. Give me the money. So, but yeah, that's an interesting thought of whether you can get more used than you can brand new.
I've definitely got more used out of that SV because if I was to go for a brand new SV, I don't think I'd have enjoyed it as much because it was never the bike that I always went, that's what I want after my A2 license. Whereas the bikini semi-fed SV second generation, which is what I got, is the one that made me go, I want it. Because I remember being so close and being talked into settling for a gold Yamaha Phaser.
Really?
And you talked me out of it.
Yeah.
Because you said that's not what you said you wanted when you got your license. And I says, oh, okay.
No, because you wanted an SV. That was what you wanted that SV.
And people were telling me, just get your license. You've got your license. Just get a bike. Just get it. Try and get a Phaser. It's similar to the SV. You'll like it, etc., etc. And I'm glad that I turned that down. Or that sale didn't go through. I think he sold it. I texted him at the lunchtime and he'd sold it that morning, kind of thing. And that was lucky because I found the SV a few days after. So there's definitely more value second hand.
Yeah. But it all depends on what you want.
Oh yeah, but...
So, I mean, I think that wraps up a lot of the news that's gone on this week. I mean, yes, there's been little odds and sods, but there's not been a great deal of stuff that's going on. I know it's... is it tinnitus? Tinnitus.
What tinnitus?
Awareness week this week. So there's a big push for people to kind of get people to wear earplugs. We ran a poll on the other day on Twitter, which had like 1,200 votes. And it was quite surprising that like 45% of people don't actually wear earplugs when they ride.
Yeah.
And I know it was kind of a nondescript kind of Twitter poll because, people coming back and saying, oh, well, I don't if I ride to the shops, but I do if I'm riding all day. Yeah, that's fine. Not knocking that. Everyone does it. I rode home from the petrol station today without earplugs in because I'd taken them out to go into the shop and I couldn't be bothered to put them back in.
But that's the thing, is this is where people need to understand what's happening behind the scenes of that. So if your shop isn't that far away, it's not a problem. But if you're definitely hitting national speed limits for anything over 10 minutes, you should definitely be wearing earplugs.
So, yeah, and we had a message from the lovely people at Auritech, and they said that because it's like awareness week for this, they're going to give us a pair of earplugs. So we're going to give them away. We're going to run a competition later this week. So if you want a pair of 20 quid earplugs, enter the competition. You could win, you might win, whatever. So that was one thing that's going on. We're going to also put up our review of the earplugs because I've bought these myself in the past, buying them.
I bought a pair on your recommendation.
You bought a pair and they work. It's a lovely blend between cancelling out road noise and kind of wind noise on the helmet at speed, but then when you stopped at traffic lights you can still hear what's going on. You can still hear music through your headphones. You can still, like if you've got internal speakers, you can still hear talking to people. You can shout at people and still hear it. You can still hear other cars and you can hear road traffic noise.
I think the big thing is, realistically, we're only saying this because we've done the review and we think that they're great, but it doesn't matter what earplugs you wear.
As long as you wear
you just need to wear something. And as long as it's comfortable and doesn't hurt, then, what's the problem? If you use those little disposable ones that last for 2 days, or get lost in your pocket or whatever, or your handbag, it doesn't matter. You just need to be wearing some sort of ear protection.
The thing is with the foam ones, I mean, I've used foam ones before, but, you take them, you drop them on the floor when you take them out your pocket and you pick them back up and they've got stones and crap all over them. Can't really wipe them clean, whereas if you've got the silicone ones, if that happens, you can wipe them clean, you can give them a rinse, you can reuse them, and I mean, I clean mine off, give them a rinse under a warm tap every week or so just in case to give them a clean, but you can't really do that with a foam one.
So what would your tips be if you were giving somebody some advice on hearing protection and earplugs and stuff, being a biker? Maybe somebody who's new.
Yeah, so you've got to wear them. I mean, well, okay, you haven't got to wear them, but it's recommended to wear them. And people say, oh, but you won't be able to hear. Despite the common misconceptions of putting earplugs in, you can still hear. You can hear the bike. I think sometimes the bike sound better with them in.
Yeah.
It takes away that wind noise, that constant drone in the background of the wind hitting your helmet, so it kind of lessens that. That's what causes the damage. What I will say is, as we said a minute ago, wearing some of them, as long as you're wearing something, whether it's be foam, silicone, custom moulded, it's better than none. You can pay anything from a couple of pence a plug for the foam ones if you buy them in like boxes of 1,000. Anything up to custom ones, which can be £100 for a basic set of custom moulded plugs. But you can get ones with Bluetooth speakers moulded in, you can get filters put in, you can get wireless drivers put in. But every time it goes up, on this hand, the price of everything then goes up and up and up even more. So you can end up with a big bill. Everyone seems to say custom moulded ones are the way to go.
But it's the affordability there, and this is the issue. Is there's a huge, because they're all custom molded, there's a big price on them, and I think that's something that needs to change a little bit in the earplug industry, shall we say?
Well, no, it's because you can imagine the work that goes into it.
Yeah, you
because
can,
it's not
but
something mass produced on a factory. Knocking one out every 0.1 of a millisecond.
But
you've got to have a custom moulding made of which takes a bloke's time to do it. You've then got, I've seen videos of how it's done, and it's not a small thing. There's a lot that goes into it.
No, I get that, but realistically, if, shall we say, the Hourtex work fine, and they're £20, they work perfectly fine.
Yeah, they work well, but they're not custom fitted to you.
But do they need to be, because they're just going into your ear canal?
Well, will they be better?
Well, that's the thing. But should there be a price on your hearing? The
thing is, it was the big thing that was surprising to me was how many people on the poll said, I never wore earplugs, and I'm X years old now, I've got a ringing in my ears or whatever, and I wish I'd worn them sooner, or I wish I had worn them. And that's the surprising thing as a young person, to think that these people are actually saying, I wish I'd have used them, or I wish they'd been around when I was young. And that kind of makes me think, yeah, we kind of really need to start wearing them then. If it's kind of having hindsight, but not yourself, if you know what I mean.
I think there's very few times where I haven't worn them, purely because I'm so conscious of it. And where I used to work, I got a free hearing test done, and I only missed out on one frequency at that point, but I want to know how that's changed now, because back then I was on the 125, only dealing with wind noise, and now I'm on something bigger. But then there's the other stuff, like if you do use the foam ones, maybe it's worth taking a handful and sticking them if you've got a drawer at work, or shoving them in your bag, or anything like that. Anything where it's just that, even if you lose the pair that you're currently using, you have access to another pair.
Yes.
Stash a few under your bike seat in a little baggie or something. Make sure it's written earplugs on, so nobody gets suspicious. Because you're hearing it, you've only got one, shall I say, one set of ears.
Yeah, and all this damage that's caused from it is completely irreversible. Once the damage has been done, you can't do anything about it. You've got to live it. And there's people that are saying that they've got a constant ringing in their ears. They can, and I don't want that.
No, and I don't. But this is why I always told you to wear earplugs. Now you've got the R1, I'm definitely telling you more to wear the earplugs. And as I said, if I was behind you without earplugs, I don't know what I'd do.
But yeah, I try and wear them as much as I can. And the biggest thing actually is it sounds counterintuitive, but when I found that I've worn earplugs and I do a journey that I've done before not wearing earplugs. I kind of feel that I'm less tired wearing earplugs.
Well, there is a bit of a reason to that.
Okay.
Is
Go science.
Yeah, go science. Well, when you're hearing things, your brain has to process that information.
Yeah.
So you're focusing not only on the road and on the bike and what your body's doing and what your muscles are doing, but you're also processing that information coming through your ears. Now, when you're wearing earplugs, you're reducing the amount of frequencies coming in through your use of your earplugs.
So it's less work that your brain's got to do.
It's less work that your brain's got to do. So
That
not
makes
only
sense.
can you focus better on the road and what you're doing, but your brain is having to process less information in the same journey, so in the same time span. So your mental fatigue is less.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes those commutes sometimes feel like you can't remember how you got there. Because
Well, I've had quite a few journeys like that where you've got to work and it's like,
how did I get?
I don't remember.
What happened?
Don't remember riding.
Because your brain is so used to that information, it's not having to process it as hard, and it's recalling on memory. Like, I can detail the 2 routes I can go to work on because they're in memory.
Yes.
So you don't have to think. And I can tell you exactly where the roundabouts are. So we're using that memory. So it's that not only does it help with your actual eardrums, earplugs help with your actual mental focus, which can, help you actually on the road to focus and maybe not target fixate or something like that.
I mean, I'm quite interested in the custom moulded earplugs. I'm kind of curious by them. So, I mean, £100 for a set of custom ones. I might see if we can get a set this year and pay the £100 to get it and see what the score with them is.
Yeah.
And if you think, right, okay, so pair of standard silicone ones, £20.
Mm-hmm.
Pair of custom moulded ones, £100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had my silicone ones for a couple of years, so if you say £20 a year, then you kind of get in there. I mean, I don't know how long.
They'll pay themselves off in 5 years.
I don't know how long a set of custom moulded ones, what the shelf life is. If anyone's got custom moulded earplugs, let us know how long you've had them for, because I'm just curious by whether they kind of pay themselves off a bit.
Yeah, and I think what I'd be worried about is if there are any changes to my ears internally, would that affect the fit and would that affect the finish?
Every 4 years, Ross said, so £20. There you go. £20 over 4 years is £100.
Or 25 quid over 4 years.
All right, maths genius.
Come on.
But yeah, but Ross, do you find that your ears change, or are your ears? Do they kind of do they feel different after the 3rd year or the 2nd year?
And what happens if you get wax in your ears and you put them in?
Well, that's why you go deaf, because it pushes the wax down.
See, that's the thing, is you've got a custom fit that's made probably when you've got a low amount of wax. And what if you get a bit of a waxy build-up?
I do recommend changing them for that reason.
Right,
there
okay,
you go.
so there is something there. Definitely something that I'd be interested in. If
people are going to have like a wall, like a shelf with like, this was 2020's earplugs in 2022 and 2024. And
you've got Ian Hutchinson with all his helmets from each season of the TT, and then there'll be a blank space for this year and next year. Or
and then
2020.
And then there's Dave with his 10 years of earplugs.
Yeah,
on
just
the shelf.
underneath, So,
or they'll be on eBay, second-hand earplugs.
yeah. Would you buy second-hand earplugs?
No.
Right, so enter the competition and get a first set.
Yeah, so, yeah, competition going. We're going to try and do that. We've also got some other stuff on the back burner, which we're trying to work through, but it's kind of hard. Yeah,
coronavirus isn't helping.
Struggling.
And we're still not in that season, so we have got a bit of gear lined up to test. But I can't really get out and test what I need to test.
No.
Not sure about you, but it's just that
it sucks that we can't ride. I'm stuck out for a bit earlier today, but it wasn't really anything exciting. It was just a case of getting out for the sake of getting out of the house because we're locked in. So it was all right. It was nice to get some fresh air and
you're locked in,
see a bit of sun.
Yeah. So we respect that, but it is hampering on our gear reviews because can't really exactly review a glove inside. Can maybe wear it while typing a few articles up.
You can if you're an influencer, though. You can put it on around the house and say it's your best thing ever.
Calm down. So, like, what I can say again, if you got an old noisy helmet, get a new one because they're better sound insulated.
That's it.
And that's so going from whatever that early 2000s helmet I had was before, the red and blue one, to an NXR. Oh my god, the difference is heavenly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've been rambling on for an hour now of just rambling stuff.
a little bit less than an hour.
Yeah. So basically, what we're going to say is, if anybody's got any questions, drop us some questions in the chat, and we'll answer. Not really an ask me anything, because there are boundaries to what we can answer, but you know,
within limits.
We asked on Twitter as well, so some people have got some questions.
Go on, fire us some questions.
So, first one comes from Steve Barnhurst, who says, a tethered air vest or an electronic / GPS air vest?
GPS.
Yeah. So, I must admit, and I'll hold my hands up and say, I have got an airbag, but it is one of the old tethered airbags, and I have never worn it because
You're scared of getting off the bike, not pulling the tether, and then starting to look like the Michelin Man.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I know what'll happen is that I'll get off the bike, the tether will still be attached, it'll pull the pin out, and it's just gonna go like that.
Yeah, so on the subject of airbags, Ross has asked, if you needed a new one piece, would you go for an airbag suit? If I had the money, I would definitely splurge and potentially go for the Dainese one. That would be...
Yeah, well, it's not
definitely
necessarily a thing. It doesn't have to be a cost prohibitive thing anymore, because I think RST have come out or are coming out with a new suit this year that is airbag compatible in a one piece, and it's like £600.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where the technology is definitely affordable, enough so that I would prefer an airbag suit over a non-airbag suit, just because of the safety aspect. You want that reassurance.
The thing is, an airbag suit will come with like a monthly subscription charge, so you have to pay X amount per month for it to work. But that's mainly for like the GPS software and the tracking and the app and all that kind of thing.
And if you need to send it off to get it fixed, that's included.
So if it no,
Is it
no,
not?
no, that's
Wow.
normally extra, I think, as well.
Wow.
And then there's the things like, well, if it's had like if it's gone off 3 times, it has to be rebuilt, or you know, and it could add up. But you don't really plan on crashing 3 times. So unless you're doing a track day,
Yeah, unless
where
you're
it's a
doing a track
possibility.
day, or maybe you're in the pro leagues or something like that.
you can't
Yeah.
really put money on something like that. But airbag for the road, yeah, I mean,
Maybe that one time that, maybe if you use it once and your suit's wrecked off, that could be the one time that the airbag suit would save you.
yeah. So
would you
my
risk
mind,
it?
Yeah,
You would risk it.
yeah. Why not?
No, I mean, you would risk crashing hard without an airbag.
No, I'd have an airbag.
Right,
If-
so
if
you
someone
wouldn't
comes-
take the risk of not having
If
an
someone
airbag.
comes to me and says, right, here's a suit that's £500 and here's a suit that's £600, the £500's not got an airbag, but the £600 have. Would you have the airbag?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Because I wouldn't want to risk crashing at a speed where I know that I could potentially be really hurt and not have the airbag. That
Well,
airbag is there for a reason.
This goes back to the air vest styles. You can get some that come separately to the suit itself. I think Ixon do just like a vest that runs off GPS. But the only problem is, if you're buying that suit, it goes under your leathers. So the vest itself needs space to go expand.
Yeah.
So if you've already got tight leathers as they are now, it's not going to have the room to expand, so you're going to get squished, or it's going to pop the suit. So if you're buying one that goes underneath, you'll need to buy new leathers for the expansion room a bit, which kind of defeats the point of leathers, because leathers need to be a tight fit anyway.
Just get measured at Christmas and have them built at Christmas, and then when you've lost all that Christmas bod, it'll fit.
Christmas bod.
It'll fit in. You know, so
But
I wouldn't risk, if I had the choice to pay the extra 100 for a suit with an airbag, I would more, I would take it.
But like vests again, tethered ones, it's fine if you're riding one bike, I suppose, because the tether usually gets fixed to that bike. Us who ride kind of, we could ride 2 or 3 different bikes a week, maybe even more. You can't really swap the tether, and the tether needs to be gone to it needs to go to a hard point on the frame, like a nut or a bolt or something like that. You can't just wrap it around the handlebars, because if your handlebars are here and it's on, your tether's wrapped around here, and you do this, you suddenly got an awful lot of slack. So that delays the timing for the airbag to inflate, because it's got to take up that slack that's on the lanyard cord.
Yeah, and without looking and testing one, I don't know how they mount, and I don't know how useful that would be, or how much trouble that would be to me. Maybe if you're a commuter and you've already got textiles or something like that, maybe having a vest is a good solution. But it's just like, how practical is it?
It's safety.
It's safe, but if it's so impractical that it adds an hour, like 20 minutes onto your journey, 10 minutes.
It's not going to do that, because if it's built into a suit, it's just the same as putting your suit on.
I'm talking about the vest ones.
Oh yeah, well that just goes on. It's just like a vest. See my vest. See my vest.
All about those mounting points and everything. So you can't really mess with the safety of it. I wouldn't like to skimp out on safety. We all know that. So
it's personal taste. Some people like it, some people don't like it. So,
what's next?
Next question from Jerry. He says he's looking at something new this year. R1, GSX-R 1000, BMW S1000R Blade, or 2 second-hand bikes, one being a ZZR 1400.
I don't know. See, now, this is the thing, is if you've got 2 second-hand bikes, you could have a ZZR 1400 and something a little bit more cushy, or something a little bit more aggressive.
So, let's go argument's sake that a brand new sports bike, the cheapest one on the list there is the R1, which I think is like 60, let's call it 17 grand.
Yep.
So let's say you've got 17 grand to play with on 2 bikes. One of them will be a ZZR 1400.
So what would you say that would be?
You can pick a ZZR 1400. Let's say at most. If we're saying 17 grand, right? Half of it for 2 bikes, you'll be able to pick a ZZR 1400 up for 8 grand. Yeah?
Yeah, and then you've got 8 grand to spend on another nice bike.
So if he's looking at sports bikes to start with, you can easily pick up an 8 grand sports bike, like a couple of year old R1. You can probably pick up 2015 plate R1s.
I would say a 2015 plate R1 would be around that.
You can pick up
probably one of the
older S1000 R for that kind of money.
Definitely, like one of the earlier ones, yeah.
Older blades. I know blades normally tend to hold their value really well. If you've got a ZZR 1400, that's a sporty bike anyway. So, would you really want a sports bike and a sports bike that's bigger than a sports bike? Would you go something, I don't know, Triumph Scrambler? Would you go some at Thruxton R? Would you go...
For about 8 grand you could probably pick up a good Triumph Scrambler.
Yeah, R9T, something like that.
Like a brand new limited special edition R9T was only 12.
So, that's a possibility that, why get 2 bikes that are the same? Why not go for 2 slightly different bikes? Maybe you want to try a bit of green laning and get a CRF Honda. There's plenty of scope for stuff. Once you've decided, let us know what you go for, and I guess we'll see how close we are on recommendations on that. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely go for the option of having 2 bikes, because you never know what mood you're going to be in, so it'd be nice to have 2 bikes to play about with, realistically.
What would you recommend in the 1k to 2k second-hand bike market?
SV650.
2 grand, SV650.
SV650.
It's a good bike because...
Oh, it's solid.
They're solid. Solid.
The only issue
Good
I've
fun
ever
to
had
ride.
is me.
Yeah.
maybe
yeah.
the brakes.
Good fun to ride. There's plenty of bits around for them.
They're very easy to maintain.
Yeah, there's nothing tricky about them, so you can work on them really well. Other possibilities, Duck rides a VFR 800, so I mean, I've rode a VFR 800, the pre-VTEC model, and you can pick them up dirt cheap. And there's always that class of bikes, or not necessarily class, but there's certain bikes around there like your Bandits, your Phasers, there's Hornets that you can buy for £1,000. You can use them for a year, put 1,000 miles on them, 10,000 miles, whatever.
Do them up a bit,
and it'll be still worth £1,000. You've had a year of motorcycling for the price of the tax and the petrol.
Yeah, and
it will always,
that's the good thing about models like that.
Those bikes are like the holy grail because you can buy it for £1,000, use it, and sell it for £1,000. It's always going to be worth £1,000.
It's because there's always that market for them. That's how good they are. So if you want a good something like that sells, that's recommended to people, you know, Hornets, Phasers, Tracers, SVs, they always hold the value. So if in a year's time you don't want it anymore, flog it.
Now we know for a fact that the COVID tax on push bicycles has gone absolutely crazy this year because everybody wants a push bike to get outside and do some exercise. But I haven't been to a dealership to actually see what the used motorbike market is. I'm imagining there's going to be less demand for motorbikes at the moment because obviously we're kind of under lockdown and not supposed to go outside, I guess, and you can't really class motorcycling as daily exercise.
No, and the issue with that is you can't. There is nothing new coming in because people can't do their CBTs. They can't do their A2 and A licenses, so you haven't really got that influx of people coming in to the buyer's market. So realistically, I think dealers might have to make a few cuts here and there on certain things, on certain models, and try to do a bit of extra salesing, because the only people who you can sell to are people who already have a license and more than likely have a bike.
I mean, what else can you get for £2,000?
I don't think there's much.
There'll be lots of bikes out there, but
but they'll all fit into that category of that
that holy grail. You buy it for £1,000, you sell it for £1,000.
Because it's just that it's its own little ecosystem that works because you buy it for £1,000, you put miles on it, you keep it well maintained, you do a few minor upgrades here and there, new tyres and MOT, and then it's still worth £1,000 at the end because the damage that you put into it.
What's better than free motorbiking?
Because if anything, I made a profit on my 125, and it's exactly like that.
Yeah, I think I lost £100 on my 125 as well.
Because you bought a CBR that maintains the majority of its value.
Yeah, because everybody wants a CBR 125 because they look mega. So yeah, there's plenty of bikes out there that are of that style that you can buy for £1,000, £2,000, £2,500, whichever, and it will keep its money, I think.
And that's the big thing but the big thing is buying something that you're happy with.
The only other thing that we've been speaking about, this was, I wouldn't say an argument, but it was a strong debate on Twitter earlier today as well. Marc Marquez. BT Sport posted up today saying, will Marc Marquez get back to his original self? And I posted up in reply saying, if he comes back.
So do you think that injury is so damning that he might not come back?
I think it's an option because, was it August he last tried to ride the bike? And bearing in mind he hasn't been on a motorbike since, because we haven't seen any photos of him on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, of him riding a bike.
He's not been testing it because that's... Was that bridle?
Nobody's been testing, nobody's been riding. We haven't seen any photos of him actually doing any winter training, because I know we're seeing pictures of Alex Rins. He's locked himself in a garage with his little O'Valley, his like Suzuki Gixxer bike. We've seen pictures of other people that have got test bikes sorted and are out practicing and getting some fitness and some miles in.
Dovy's probably gone jet skiing as he normally does.
Well, Dovy's been motocrossing,
right.
and he's even come out and said that if Marc Marquez isn't fit, he's available to step into the role.
Right, so he's played that game.
Yeah.
So the issue is, Marquez tried to ride that bike. We're talking 2-3 weeks after the original surgery.
Yeah.
So the amount of pain and struggle that he's in now, and you've got to, times that by 100 for that post-surgery effect, right? So if he can't ride it then, that's a problem then. But he's recovered a bit more now, but he's still in the sling.
Yeah.
It's been, what?
Well, I don't know. Is he still in a sling?
Yeah, he's in the shoulder brace.
Okay.
So we're talking 5 months on. He's still in the shoulder brace. All of this is going to have a struggle with atrophy.
Yeah.
So all that muscle is going away. So the issue is, when he comes back, if he comes back, at that point he's going to have to be working so much harder in the gym, focusing so much more on that side, because that muscle isn't being used, that tissue isn't being worked, that sinew isn't being ground down to give him anything. So if anything, he's going to come out and he's going to have an arm that feels perfectly natural in this position, in the sling position.
But when it's extended,
it's extended, or riding a bike or whatever, it could be a problem. So I would love to see him back, because
I think that's it. I think I'd love to see him back, but I don't think this year he will be the Marquez that we know.
If he comes back for the 2021, he'll be a little bit more reserved, because if he crashes like that again and hurts that arm again, that's him done.
Yeah.
That's his career done. So I think he'll be a little bit more reserved. I think that might lead again to another situation where Marquez is a little bit more reserved and isn't really in the championship. Then we've got other manufacturers gunning for the championship. I was thinking a while ago about the whole reason why MotoGP got so exhilarating was because all of a sudden everybody was pushing for the title.
Anybody could have won last year, and that's what made it exciting.
Exactly.
Absolutely any manufacturer or bike or rider could have won. And we didn't know who it was going to be, because the results were wildly different from one week to another. So that was what made it interesting.
And we had people pushing so hard that we had scenes that we never want to see, and but that's what made it so good, is the fact that it shook up the concrete Marquez is going to win 4 out of every 5 races kind of thing. So
I sit on the fence. I hope he comes back.
I'd love to see him.
I really hope he comes back, but I don't want to see him come back to be a fizzle. I want to see him come back to be the Marquez that we know, because we don't want to see him trailing around at the back of the grid.
I would rather wait the extra year and have him come back as the Marquez that wants to race and knows how to race really well and is really on it, and wait the extra time for that, than have him come back, poodle around in the back, in the mid and around the back, be a bit more scared of everything, and quit after because he can't keep up. So I'd rather see him take the extra time to rehab, and then come back as the Marquez, the Marquez that we want back.
Be the Marquez that we want.
And almost, similar thing with Dovey is, if he's not coming back for the 2021 season, I would love to see him come back in 2022.
I don't think we will.
With more drive.
I don't think Dovey will be back.
Do you not?
Unless Marquez is injured and Dovey comes back to take his place, I don't think we'll see Dovey back.
So why would LCR not push? Why would HRC not pull Alex Marquez to factory to Repsol over LCR?
Well, they might do.
And then that leaves the space on LCR that maybe Dovey might.
They might do. All I know is that Dovey's come out and said, if Marquez can't ride, I can fill in. Whether that's in LCR and Marquez gets bumped back up, whether that's in LCR and Nakagami gets bumped up, we don't know. Whether Dovey goes straight into the factory team, we don't know. We're only speculating on what he said. But
Dovey in orange.
If Marquez does come back and Dovey does not find a ride this year, I can't see him back in 2021.
No, I can't, but it's that if there is a free space and somebody asks him.
Yeah.
If there is a free...
Even so, if there is a free space and somebody asks him, there's no guarantees that he'll then be around for the next year, because the person that comes back will have his spot back.
No, I mean, in 2020, end of 2021 season, you know, somebody sodded off in Aprilia, for say, and they're like, well, we need a rider, let's ask Dovey, and he takes them up.
So hypothetically speaking then, if, again, picking a random out the air, Alex Rins leaves Suzuki.
Yeah.
Right? So he's gone. He wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I don't want to be a MotoGP rider anymore. I've had enough.
I've won the World Championship, that's it.
So do you think Suzuki will go and say to Dovey, hey up mate, do you want a ride? And Dovey comes back and says, yeah, but I want 50 million euros a year for it, because that's the kind of money that he'll command? Or do you reckon Suzuki will go, oh, Aaron Canet, you're an upcoming Moto2 rider. Do you fancy go on our blue bike and we'll pay you 2 million euros a year?
I think...
Which do you reckon? The old, experienced wise hat, or the young gun that's going to give absolutely everything to be world champion and ride the wheels off that bike?
It depends if Dovey actually does demand that money, because who knows what situation he'll be in shall we say, a year's time. He could.
Well, he's not going to wake up homeless, is he?
No, but he could really wake up and just go, oh, I just want to be racing. I'll do anything to be racing. Because the money at this point doesn't really affect him, does it?
No.
So if they offered him this, like, 2 mil, he could take it and just go for it. And be back and have his foot in the door for being back on the grid.
I think on that bombshell and that discussion point, that's time to call it.
Okay.
Let us know what you think on the Marquez debate, whether he's coming back, whether he's not coming back, whether Dovizioso's having his ride. Let us know. We're always up for chat and discussion. Find us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can see everything down here of what we're called. So yeah, let us know.
And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to us. We hit 100 subscribers this week. So thank you to everyone that does subscribe. And if you don't subscribe,
please do.
Please do. Yeah. Thanks.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. See you next Wednesday, 8 o'clock.